Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review. For today's video, we are going to jump into the time machine and travel way back as we look at this much older Toybiz WCW Ringmasters Chris the Lionheart Jericho action figure. Alright, so let's begin. I'm actually a huge wrestling fan. It's one of those things I don't really, review on my channel all that often. But I don't know, I'm pretty serious when it comes to my pro wrestling, lifelong pro wrestling fan. I live in the Chicagoland area, and Chicago sees a lot of wrestling, almost too much wrestling. What we have here is the Chris Jericho figure from way back when. I'm a big Chris Jericho fan. I was there in Chicago when he debuted for the WWF at the Rosemont Horizon, which is now known as the Allstate Arena. That day there was so much buzz that Jericho was going to appear on the show. And the minute they ran that timer on the Titantron and it counted down, and then Jericho, he popped up and he ran that legendary promo against The Rock. Yeah, that was such an amazing experience, and I was very stoked to be a part of wrestling history. And flash forward so many years later, Chris Jericho is still a headliner, and I'm pretty stoked to review this action figure. I actually had this figure way back when it first came out, but then somewhere along the lines after college, I think I threw out all my wrestling toys because I was an idiot. And then some years back, I was kind of on the hunt for some of my older WWF and WCW action figures. And, this Chris Jericho figure was on the top of that list. I really wanted to have this figure again. And I found this figure years ago for a stupidly low price. I think I might have paid anywhere between $12 and $16 for it. And as you can see, the box is, or the card is super nice. It's not dinged up. It's it has a little bit dog ears in this corner right here, but otherwise it's nice. The blister is still on the card. It's not cracked or yellowing. None of the ink's faded. It looks perfectly brand new. It amazes me. This is such a fun take on Chris Jericho. So the deal with the Ringmasters line is that they would take the wrestler's nickname, and they'd kind of play with it, and they'd give the character an outfit that's inspired by their nickname. For in this case, Chris Jericho was the Lionheart, so they gave him a lion tamer outfit. He kind of came with this kitty cat dressed up as a lion. He came with a whip and all the kind of fun stuff that you'd see at a carnival or circus. As you can see right there. You have the WCW seal. It's interesting because the seal, the official seal to let you know this is an authentic product. The logo on here is the older NWO WCW logo, and let me see if I get the WCW logo. Yeah, there's the WCW logo, but during this time period they adopted this much newer one. So it's kind of weird that up here is the new logo and then down here is the older one. On the back of the box, Chris Lionheart Jericho. He stands at 5'11", 225. His signature move is the Lion Tamer, also known as the Walls of Jericho and the Lion Salt, which is his version of it's that moonsault kind of deal that Hayabusa does. He runs against the ropes and then he jumps and flips off the middle rope. This figure is play feature. You place the whip in Jericho's right hand and the chair in his left. And then I believe his waist was maybe spring-loaded. Yeah, so if you squeeze the legs, I think, twist the figure back at the waist and release for whipping action. Okay, so yeah, he just spring-loaded waist. Other figures in this line included Bret the Hitman Hart. And, since he's the Hitman, he has to have kind of a mobster gimmick. Bill Goldberg, his finisher is the jackhammer, so of course they gave him a jackhammer. Torture Rack Lex Luger was interesting. They kind of gave him this, like, I don't know, torture outfit with like a gimp mask. Is kind of weird. Or a gimp hood. I take it back. It's not a mask, it's a hood. But the cool thing was that Jericho's figure was it was the closest figure out of all of them in this series that actually looked like normal Chris Jericho. All you had to do was remove the vest and pull out the whip, and you just basically had a 100% Chris Jericho figure without any like the weird like gimmicks. Like for the Hitman figure, even if you remove the hat and the trench coat, his gear looked nothing like his real gear. He had like some weird stripes on it. Goldberg, he had the construction helmet and the tool belt, completely nothing like he looks like in the ring. And Luger too. Luger was wearing like the long tights. But the Jericho figure was nice. You remove the vest and, instant Jericho figure. Alright, so this figure came out back in 1999. So you're looking at something that's like 22, 23 years old. So unfortunately, I am not going to unbox this, but lucky for you, I do have a figure loose on hand. So here is a loose figure of Chris Lionheart Jericho. This was manufactured by Toybiz. At the time, they were really knee-deep into their Marvel stuff, but it was cool that they were dabbling with the wrestling action figures. For me, I always kind of felt during this time period that the wrestling action figures that Toybiz was putting out was a much superior product to the Jakks action figures. At the time, Jakks, they kind of had WWF and their bone-crunching action figures. For me, I loved these because these were articulated more so like, the other Toybiz action figures, much like, their Spider-Man and like X-Men action figures. It's a nice sculpt. The likeness was pretty decent for back then. His head rotates, as you can see. Arms rotate, and they go out. He has elbow bend, wrist articulation, spring-loaded waist. Legs kick, go down, ankle articulation. So in terms of articulation and feeling like a much more complete action figure, I always preferred these over the Jakks figures. But I think at the time I might have been a bigger WWF fan. But, WCW was a really, really close second. But yeah, this was a great figure. You take off the vest and you have an instant Jericho figure. He looks fantastic. And I think this figure still holds up pretty well. Even though the articulation and figure engineering isn't up to date with like, the modern stuff, it's a really well done action figure. It's very clean. The likeness is there. It's sculpted well. And this is kind of like during the height of like Toybiz. I think it was a couple years later they'd lose the license for their Marvel stuff to like Hasbro. And in terms of their wrestling figures, they would make the jump from WCW and start producing action figures for TNA/Impact. But yeah, wonderful, wonderful action figure. So stoked to have this little piece of action figure history. I don't know if this is Jericho's rookie action figure. It might be. Unless he had something previously like in Japan or Mexico. But at least stateside, I think this was his first action figure. I might be wrong on that though. Okay, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, thanks for joining me as we traveled back in time to look at this older action figure. Like I said, I'm a big wrestling fan, and I'd like to do more wrestling stuff in the future, but there's already so much wrestling content on YouTube. I kind of feel like anything I do would pale in comparison compared to like what some of the other YouTubers are doing. But if I have something interesting to share, I'll share it with you. So wrapping this up, once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.